Right, when you then took the next offer, and you listen, mate, this was like, as we say in the English idiom, was like out of the frying pan into the fire. Because like if MIBR is a tough crowd to work with, you know, and a lot of pressure and fans, like if you don't win your shit, going straight to FaZe Clan, like you obviously like playing coaching on nightmare mode, Yanko. Like that's obviously your fucking kink, mate. So did you just go there like a fan would think? Did you just go there because Nico's your friend? Was there anything else about the team that was actually appealing?
No, the team was very much appealing because it was also a big challenge. Like it's a team that, like MIBR, they were in a slump. They were, I mean, even more than a slump probably at that time, but they had good players on the team, right? Obviously, at least it looked like. And then I was like, okay, it's a challenge. Let's make a good team great again. Not like an unknown team, make them good, right? For me, that's nothing. That's not a challenge to me. To get a team and they're outside the top 20 and I bring them into the top 10 like that. I don't know. I want to be in a team that has a chance to win trophies, and then I get them to that step. You know, I bridge that gap and make them like a really good team. For FaZe, it was something, as I said, even when I started coaching MIBR, those were the two teams. And then after MIBR went full Brazilian, I was thinking about what I wanted to do. FaZe reached out to me. To be honest, I was leaning more towards, I wanted to take a small break. I also wanted to, because it was really draining for me, the whole MIBR experience. And I also wanted to, for my coaching, I wanted to, you know, create a bit of a playbook, a plan, you know, like write some things down, do some research, read some books about coaching as well. I felt like, you know, I needed to work on myself and improve to be able to do a better job. But FaZe was really pressing me at the time. I mean, Nico, he knew me best, right? They wanted me like to do that immediately to become their coach, because they were also about to kick Kerrigan, right? And I told them when I had a talk with them, I said like, you shouldn't kick this guy. Like it's going to be really, really hard to replace him, because I think their plan at the time was play with Adren until the major, and then after the major, Exist is probably going to leave Fnatic, and then we can get Exist, because they played with Exist some of those tournaments where all of didn't play. I can't remember.
Yes, Marseille and Sydney.
Yeah, they enjoyed like playing with him and everything. But I mean, I don't want to sound too harsh, but for me, Exist as an in-game leader wasn't really, you know, some hot shit or something like really amazing.
Sure.
Because he was the in-game leader for NIP, who were the best individuals at the time. Like they weren't like anything. They didn't do mad things team-wise. And it was one of the reasons why they brought Threat eventually, and that's when they started doing more stuff. It's like he was never credited with some of these, you know, which on the other side of things you could say and look, yeah, but the FaZe also had good individuals. Maybe that would like mesh good. I don't know. But initially that was the plan, and I said like, I think because I talked to Kerrigan a number of times. You know, he's a smart guy. He knows the game. I think he just sometimes, like in those high pressure situations, he falters. I think he was just lacking some help, you know. So it's not all on his shoulders in those situations. And I think that's where I could have been a great help in preparation, but also in some of those moments, just like making the call or just giving people like confidence and things like that. But regardless, like it was with Adren, and I think yeah, that was just the initial plan to do it until the major. Even I was just first. My agreement was just for the major, like that 2-month period, and then we'll see afterwards if we want to prolong it or not.
Right, since as you talk about there, when they obviously went this like a Dren move, and they actually the Kerrigan angle is an interesting one, because I mean he said something very similar on an episode I just did with him recently, the Stratbook episode, where he basically says one of the problems he had in FaZe was, it's like, if I say egos, right, people are going to take this the wrong way and think it's this whole other thing that I'm on at the moment. I mean ego in the sense that people who are star players or have been very good players, they have an ego in the sense that it's like, I know how I can play the game and how I can be my best. So they're willing to listen to some things an IGL or a coach says, but they also have their own opinion. That's why they were stars. Like, if they didn't have an opinion, they probably never would be a star. They'd just be some guy who got some kills and then some games didn't, and sometimes played a shit role and maybe didn't even play the maps. There's a million things could go wrong. So the point really with a team like FaZe is, when we say they've got a lot of egos, we mean they've got a lot of players who've done that stuff. Like, if you're an IGL, you're not just walking in, like I can think of some of the teams where IGL's had younger players, and everyone's just looking at you like, you know everything, you're brilliant, just tell us, whatever you say, we'll just do it. It's like, no, if you give a good plan, yeah, they'll do it. But if they start to think, hey, this plan isn't as good as I think, or you know what, I have a different idea, they're not going to be shy about speaking up. And one of the things Carrigan basically said was what you just said there. He said he didn't actually feel like he had enough help because basically, first of all, when he was in the team, Robban actually had like some personal issues at the time. And then secondly, if people have been around the team, Robban's role wasn't like traditional coach. I always described it as more like Big Brother. He was more like the guy there to be like emotional support for people or to help the fact that, look, they've got all these people from different countries. Like, it's not a natural fit for these guys, but they're super skilled and you're trying to make it work. So when you came into FaZe, was it tough to corral these guys, to direct them, to get them on the same page, to get them a buy-in to what you wanted to do?
Yeah, well, for some more than the others, but that was like the first issue. Is like this was supposed to be temporary, right? Like Nico is supposed to be the in-game leader only for a while. So I'm also, as a coach, I need to get the most out of this team that I can for the major, right? Like that's the main goal. And after that, the team may change. So I am working on a game. I have quote unquote new in-game leader. Like Nico's been doing it for a little while now for the team, but he's not the natural at it by any stretch of the imagination. So I need to work with a new guy on it, not make it too complicated, for him. Take into the players that I have on the roster at the moment, like play to their strengths. And then you do all of that. And after a while, you need to change it around, right? So I think that was the problem in my whole time at FaZe. I actually think during my whole time as a coach, I did not have a roster of 5 players that made perfect sense to me even, right? Let alone to maybe people from the outside, right? Like the closest I had was the MIBR thing, but it had 3 aggressive players, and the lineup with Brocky and Olof.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, from the after the Berlin Major until Olof retired.
Yes.
And that was also with Nico in-game, which is obviously far from ideal, but the way things were in the team, especially in 2020, it felt like this can really work, and it can work good. But things didn't really pan out that way. So that was the issue, right? Like with FaZe, that was the main problem. Then it was like, are we keeping a Dren? Are we getting someone else? Blah, blah, blah. Let's try to get an in-game leader. Who can we get? Nobody. Okay, let's give Neo a chance, right? He's a super smart guy, experienced. His team played in a way that good way when they were at their peak. And then that was probably the worst we've played, and the worst also,
slump,
for example,
yeah.
Nico played individually out of all of those lineups, right? And that was, we did, what we were supposed to, like getting an in-game leader. I will credit him with one big thing, though. He really taught us how to play Nuke. Nuke was a really big map for us during that time, and after that, and that was like because of Neo, like the way he was calling and the way he kind of explained some of the stuff. Really helped.
Is it a trade secret? Can you give us a little tip if we're the noobs out there who want to know how do you play Nuke? Because obviously, listen, his Virtus Pro was fucking godlike on that map. So is there any little hint you can give us as to something about how you think about the map?
I think it was mostly we learned, like you're using like the smokes outside, and then you're putting pressure somewhere else to sneak 1 or 2 guys into a position, right? And then you're punishing the rotations. It doesn't always have to be doing something from the start and kind of having it set up. It can just be using your nades, your utility to get people into positions where the opponents might not know about it, and then you just kind of let those guys play while you're still distracting the opponents. I'm talking about T side mostly. So yeah, and you just keep like distracting the opponents, and you let the other people play, and you just abuse the rotations, you abuse the movement, because FaZe wasn't really known to be a Nuke team prior to that, right? It was mostly like the standard map. So yeah, that was like kind of the issue with that. I think I went a bit too far ahead. Sorry.